We just finished our section on properties of indifference curves. So the next topic is budgets. So we'll have two goods, X and Y, and we'll use PX to be the price of X, and PY is going to be price of Y. W is going to be your wealth, so that's how much money you have to spend on X and Y. So we'll first figure out how all these variables are related. So let's say you're starting with just $20, so your wealth is 20. So that's going to have to equal the amount you spend on X plus amount spent on Y. So the amount you spend on Y is going to be how many units of Y you buy multiplied by the price per unit. So the price of Y were 2, and you buy 3 units. 2 times 3 is 6, so you're spending $6. Of course, the same is also true for X. So this is going to be the price of X times quantity of X. That's how much you spend on X. So your budget is going to look like this. It's how much money you have to spend has to be equal to PX times X, amount spent on X, plus amount spent on Y. So now we can graph the budget. Once we finish figuring out how to graph budgets, we can combine them with indifference curves and then figure out what optimal consumption looks like. So just to pick some nice numbers, let's say you have $20 to spend. The price of X is $1. The price of Y is $2. Your budget is going to become this. So you have your wealth, which is $20 here, equals price of X times X. Price of X is just 1. price of y times y, so price of y is 2. How we graph this, we'll just isolate y. So let's subtract an x from both sides. To finish isolating y, let's just divide by 2. So 20 over 2 is 10. And then we have, I guess, 1 over 2. So this will be just a straight line. So you know, because of the familiar form of slope and intercept. So here's your intercept. And this is your slope. So of course we all know how to draw straight lines. So our intercept goes up over here. We said that's going to be 10. Slope is minus half. So that's going to look like this. So the idea is actually pretty straightforward. Everything on the line or below it, that's all affordable. We have $20 to spend, and we can afford everything on the line or inside it. The stuff that's out here, that's above the line, that is not affordable. If you only have $20, then you can't afford to buy 30x or buy 30y. That's too expensive for you. So everything on the line or inside it, you can buy. Everything outside, cannot buy. So it was a very easy way to draw budget lines. There's a shortcut you can do without having to do this rearranging here. So let me show you the shortcut. So first step, you ask yourself, if I spent all my money on X, how many units could I buy? So you plot this point on your graph. So in this case, our wealth was 20. The price of X was $1. So you could buy, at most, 20X. So you spend everything on X. Then you ask yourself the same question about Y. In our example, we had $20. Price of Y was 2. So the most we could afford was 10 units of Y. So you plot that point in your graph as well. So you saw this point from earlier, but now we're adding this one up here for what happens if we spend all our money on Y. Last step, just connect them with a straight line. As we saw a moment ago, budget lines are linear. They have a slope and an intercept. So that's why it's a straight line. So you can see drawing budget lines is not very hard. So the next thing we'll look at is how do you show income changes, I should say wealth changes on budgets. So maybe you get more money and that's going to shift your budget line. So we had originally a wealth of 20, so the price of X was $1, price of Y was $2. Now perhaps we get an extra $10, so our wealth becomes 30. So this was our original budget line, where we had 10 and 20. Let's follow the same procedure here to figure out what happens if I have $30 now. I'll call B0 my old budget. So the new budget where we have $30, that's going to be B1. So first we asked ourselves, if I spend everything on X, how much do I get? The price of X is 1. I now have $30. So if I have $30 and the price is 1, I can buy as many as 30 units. So that's going to be out here. Same question, but now let's talk about Y. Price of Y is 2, and now I have $30. That means I spend everything I have on Y, I'm going to be able to buy 15. So that'll be around here. And just connect them with a straight line. So that's your new budget line, B1. So these budget lines are actually parallel. We can show that. It's possible to prove it. So the moral of the story is that when your wealth goes up, you get this parallel shift in your budget. Actually, let's show it. Let's see why that's true. So we said back here, your budget is how much you spend on X plus how much you spend on Y. If you're drawing a graph, you want to have Y on one side and all the other stuff on the other side. So let's follow that procedure. So let's keep Y over here and throw everything else over there. So you have W minus PXX equals PYY. Then you can divide everybody by PY. These guys cancel. So you have Y on this side equals W over PY minus PX over PY times X. So when you're graphing Y against X, this will be your intercept. And this will be your slope. So what this has to do with wealth changes, you can see the slope here does not depend on wealth. So if wealth goes from 20 to 30, this slope here, this ratio, is unchanged. So if two lines have the same slope, they're parallel. Where the wealth does come in is only in the intercept. So that's why there's new and higher point over here, even though the slope is still the same as it was before. So wealth changes give you parallel shifts. So that means if your wealth goes up, your budget line is going to look like this. If your wealth goes down, it's going to go in the opposite direction. So the basic ideas here are not very hard. Your budget line is a straight line. If your wealth goes up, that straight line goes out. If your wealth goes down, that straight line comes in. So that's how wealth changes affect things. The other thing that can matter is what if the price changes? So it could be the price of X or the price of Y. So let's go back to our earlier example. We had $20 to spend. X cost us $1 each. And the price of Y was $2. We said that looked like this. Now let's suppose that the price of X goes up. Let's say the price of X is now going to be $4. So you follow your same procedure. If you spend all your money on X, how much could you buy? If I had $20 and the price is $4, the most that I could afford is $5. Next you ask, spend all your money on Y, how much could you afford? Well, the price of Y is still 2. If I had $20 and the price of Y is 2, I can still afford 10 units of Y. So that point is going to be unchanged. So your new budget line is going to be this one back here. So it's important not to get mixed up here. If the price of X rises, that's actually going to cause your budget set to contract. The trap is thinking, well, that's going up, should be going out over here. That's actually not true. When the price of X gets higher, you can afford less of it, so that's going to shrink the number of options you have. That's why it's going to contract your budget, not expand it. If the price of X had fallen, that would look different. So if this here is your original budget line, and now the price of X goes down, that means you can afford more X than you could have previously. That's going to expand your options. You do the same thing for the price of Y. So you start over here, and let's say that Y gets more expensive. So if Y gets more expensive, I'll be able to afford less Y than I could have previously. So I could previously afford this much. The new amount is going to be smaller than that. Maybe somewhere back here. So again, it's going to mean fewer options for me. This new budget set is more limited than the old one because you have the same amount of money, but now things are more expensive, you can't buy as much. Last possibility, what if Y gets cheaper? If Y gets cheaper, I can now buy more of it than I could have in the past. So I could previously buy that amount if I spent everything on Y. The new amount I could afford is going to be bigger, maybe up here. So that's going to expand the range of possibilities I have. So the biggest thing here with price changes is you don't get mixed up. The price decrease expands your possibilities because now you can afford more. A price increase contracts your possibilities because if things get more expensive, you can buy less of them. So that's how budgets work. In our next video, we'll combine budgets with indifference curves.